related a dialogue he had had with a man who, on being given this explanation of mercy, had answered, "Oh, Father, if you knew my life, you wouldn't talk to me like that. I have done some terrible things." This was Francis's reply. Even better. Go to Jesus. He likes to hear about these things. He forgets. He has a special knack for forgetting. He forgets. He kisses you. He embraces you, and he says, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, do not sin anymore." That is the only advice he gives. If things haven't changed in a month, we go back to the Lord. The Lord never tires of forgiving, never. It is we who tire of asking Him for forgiveness. We need to ask for the grace not to get tired of asking for forgiveness, because He never gets tired of forgiving. From that first homily, which particularly struck me, there emerged the centrality of the message of mercy, which would characterize these first few years of Francis's papacy. They were simple and profound words. This is the face of a church that doesn't reproach men for their fragility and their wounds, but that treats them with the medicine of mercy. We live in a society that encourages us to discard the habit of recognizing and assuming our responsibilities. It is always others who make mistakes. It is always others who are immoral. It's always someone else's fault, never our own. And sometimes we even experience the return of a kind of clericalism, always intent on building borders, regulating the lives of people through imposed prerequisites and prohibitions that make our daily lives, already difficult, even harder. An attitude of being always ready to condemn and much less willing to accept, ready to judge but not to bow down with compassion for mankind's sufferings. The message of mercy, the heart of that sort of unwritten first encyclical, which was contained in the new Pope's brief homily, swept all those stereotypes away. A little more than a year later, on April 7, 2014, Francis returned to the same passage during morning Mass at St. Martha's house, confessing his attachment to this part of the Gospel. God forgives not with a decree, but with a caress. And with mercy, Jesus too goes beyond the law and forgives by caressing the wounds of our sins. Today's Bible readings, the Pope explained, speak to us of adultery, which together with blasphemy and idolatry was considered a grave sin under the law of Moses and punishable with the penalty of death by stoning. In the excerpt from the 8th chapter of John, the Pope pointed out, we meet Jesus, who was sitting there, surrounded by people in the role of the catechist, teaching. Then the scribes and Pharisees came to him with a woman, perhaps with her hands tied, we might imagine. Then they brought her to the middle and accused her. Here is an adulteress. Theirs is a public accusation. The Gospel says that they asked Jesus a question. What should we do with this woman? You talk to us of goodness, but Moses told us that we must kill her. They said this, Francis observed, to put him to the test, so that they could accuse him of something. In fact, if Jesus had said to them, "Go ahead with the stoning," they could then have said to people, "You say your master is so good, but look what he has done to this poor woman." If instead Jesus had said, "No, the poor woman, we need to forgive her," they could have accused him of not enforcing the law. Their only objective, Francis continued, was to test him, to lay a trap for Jesus. They didn't care about the woman. They didn't care about adultery. On the contrary, maybe even some were themselves adulterers. And so Jesus, who wanted to be alone with the woman and speak to her heart, answered, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And then they went away one by one after hearing those words. The Gospel, with a certain amount of irony, says that they went away one by one, starting with the eldest. Clearly, they owed a lot of money.